Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene finds herself in hot water because Democrats can't remember that they said what they claim Marjorie Taylor Greene had said for the past 5 years. And the funniest part about it is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said isn't wrong. But before we get started, how about you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. It helps with the algorithm. From the Georgia Sun, the public record, Marjorie Taylor Greene compares masks to Nazi gold stars. What happened? Marjorie Taylor Greene has landed at the center of controversy again, this time for comparing Nancy Pelosi's mask mandate on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives to Nazi practices requiring Jews to wear gold stars during the Holocaust. And that is not true. If this was 2 days ago, she was not talking about the masks. She's talking about vaccine passports. It's kind of the opposite of what the Germans did to the Jews. It would be as if the Germans made something up in order to self-identify themselves, and then anybody who was not wearing that badge, who was not wearing their Boy Scout badge, would then become the other. Essentially the opposite of what the Germans did in World War II, but it's still applicable here. The setting. Greene made her remarks on Real America's Voice network show The Water Cooler with David Brody. The quote, Greene began by calling House Speaker Nancy Pelosi insane and then made her Nazi comparison. The quote is below. You know, we can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about. And she's facing a ton of backlash. So people are saying, oh, because you're wearing a mask, you're saying the mask is like a gold star. Well, no, she's also talking about vaccine passports. That's also the mark. That's the way to self-identify you. And if you don't have it, like in my explanation, if you don't have that vaccine passport, you are now a second-class citizen. You are considered filthy. You are a filthy, unvaccinated pig if you don't get that vaccine. How dare you question my propagandist scientists? This isn't science anymore. This is just a giant psyop campaign. This is just a giant federally funded propaganda war on the American people. From the Holocaust Memorial Center, Jewish stars and other Holocaust badges. The German government's policy of forcing Jews to wear identifying badges was but one of many psychological tactics aimed at isolating and dehumanizing the Jews of Europe, directly marking them as being different, i.e., inferior to everyone else. So, to use my example, you have these vaccine passports. You have the virtual signaling of wearing a mask. So, if you didn't wear a mask and you don't have a vaccine passport, you are now dehumanized. You're inferior. You don't trust the science because you're an uneducated Trump supporter. You are less than. It allowed for the easier facilitation of their separation from society and subsequent ghettoization, which ultimately led to the deportation and murder of 6 million Jews. You already see this happening. You see the separation. In Mets Stadium in New York, I don't know what the name, I just know that the Mets play there. They have a vaccinated section and an unvaccinated section. It's only a matter of time before you're not allowed to have clean glasses because we can't waste the soap on people who aren't going to take care of themselves by getting vaccinated. You know what? Their water fountains, dogs can also drink from their water fountains because obviously they don't care about the science. They don't believe in germs. They don't believe in viruses. It's getting ridiculous. Marjorie Taylor Greene was not wrong. She just wasn't right. But people are projecting what they have been saying for years onto what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Marjorie Taylor Greene had said something more accurate than any of these left-wing propagandist, quote-unquote, media organizations have been saying for 5 years. and I'll show you here in a second. Those who fail to refuse to wear the badge risk severe punishment, including death. So you hear the CDC and the FBI warning Americans that they can face years in jail for falsifying a vaccination card. Sounds similar, right? Severe punishment. For example, the Jewish Council of the Ghetto in Poland announced that the authorities have warned that severe punishment up to and including death by shooting is in store for Jews who do not wear the yellow badge on back and front. So, the authorities have warned that severe punishment up to including years in jail and tens of thousands of dollars fine is in store for Americans who falsify their vaccination badge and display it. It's essentially the translation, the 2020 translation of what occurred. Like I said, liberal fascism, and they're redefining words. They're changing language in order to, and I said this in a different video, if you change what being a Nazi is to, oh, that's being American, you're trusting the science, but it's actually you're being fascistic. And then you're living the American dream, individualism, freedom, federalism. If you're living the American dream the way America was originally dreamed, you are now the Nazi. You are now the other. You're just a totalitarian because you believe that the president shouldn't mandate what the states do. That the president shouldn't tell me what to do. I tell the president what to do. That's the way the United States works. The president works on behalf of we the people. The House of Representatives work on behalf of we the people. It is not the other way around. This isn't Xerxes back in Greek times where they're God kings, God representatives, God president. This isn't a thing. We the people. They serve at the behest of we the people. From Yossi, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, dude. Gestetner, I believe. Did Dana and Wolf have such a segment when AOC compared U.S. immigration facilities to Nazi concentration camps, or when Dems kept comparing Trump's policies to Hitler targeting of Jews? Shameless hacks inserting themselves in the news to hit Republicans. Remember when Nancy Pelosi called federal police who went to defend a courthouse in Portland shock troopers? Like Nazi shock troopers. Can't make this stuff up. From Fox News, media torches Marjorie Taylor Greene for Holocaust analogy after normalizing Nazi comparisons for past 4 years. The media has been tearing into Rep. Greene over remarks she made linking Democrat-backed mask mandates to the Holocaust. And honestly, she didn't. She didn't. People need to learn. People need to stop regurgitating a lie. This is, what is it? A lie goes halfway around the world before the truth even puts on his pants. In that segment, she wasn't talking about masks. Masks may have been part of it, but she was actually talking about these vaccine passports. Again, she used the wrong analogy. She used it in a wrong way, but she's still not wrong. Instead of identifying the other, you are identifying those who fall in line. You're identifying those who will bend over backwards and be anal swallowed by the government because it's the science. So let's look at some examples. Fox News has a good job. From Julio Rosas, Alan Francis, MD, a psychiatrist, tells Brian Stelter, Trump may be responsible for many more million deaths than Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, and Mao Zedong. You can't make this stuff up, guys. Tom Elliott, Supercut, today's Morning Joe condensed to 45 seconds. This is September 23rd, 2020.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I don't know. We won't call them fascist comments. Fascism. Fascist. Call fascism. Fascism is fascist. Fascist.
Notions of fascism. Xenophobic, racist, demagogic, racist, sexist, xenophobic, autocratic, and fascistic. Donald Trump is a fascist.
Someone like a fascist or a tyrant or an autocrat.
Fascist rhetoric. Fascist language. Fascists.
I'm glad that you're starting talking about fascism. Hitler.
Right. Fascist rhetoric. He's talking the way fascists talk. It's autocratic. Fascist. Nazi Germany before the rise of Hitler. Fascist language.
To Hitler. Fascist. Hitler. Adolf Hitler.
Hitler. But Hitler.
From what Adolf Hitler preached in the early 30s. Let's just say it once and for all.
Well, man, that's more times than I believe I've said Hitler in my life. Or at least fascist for sure. I like to ruffle the feathers of my friends who happen to be liberals and just point out, hey, liberal fascism's a thing. You guys are more fascist than Trump ever was. If Trump was truly a fascist when COVID-19 hit, he would have taken control of the country. He wouldn't have abided by the 10th Amendment. He wouldn't have honored federalism. And people say he lost the election because he wasn't authoritarian enough. He didn't enact martial law when these countries were, not countries, but when these cities and counties were burning due to $2 billion worth of damage done by Black Lives Matter terrorists throughout the country. Whoopi Goldberg also calls him Hitler as well, or Hitlerian. From Yossi Gestiner again, don't compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. It belittles the Hitler. From the Washington Post Opinions, September 13th, 2016. From the same person, top House Democrats compare Trump's rise to Hitler's, March 2019. That's a CNN Politics headline. Same guy, Yossi Gestiner. He's sort of like Goebbels. Biden compares Trump to Nazi chief propagandist, September 20th, 2020. Jewish Democrat Group's ad compares Trump era in 1930s Germany, same day. Gore took 37 days to concede 2,000. But within days of November election, the November 3rd House Democrats compared Trump to Hitler for refusing to concede 2020. That's what Hitler did in Germany. From The Independent, I'm beginning to see what happened in Germany. Democrat compares Trump refusing to concede to rise of Hitler. Joe Biden likens Ted Cruz to Nazi propagandist Goebbels for helping Trump spread a big lie about election fraud. Guys, you can't make this up. Reps Lawrence explains. That's a little too long. I don't want to show you guys that. But it's getting ridiculous. From Rob Reiner, 25% of Americans think Donald Trump is really president. 25% of Germans supported Adolf Hitler. Don't think it can happen here? Fight to secure our voting rights. Fight to secure our democracy. So it's okay. It breaks my mind what's going on right now. I have a real hard time. The cognitive dissonance, I guess they're just immune from that. If you're on the left, apparently you're just immune from irony. You're immune from cognitive dissonance. You say making any sort of Hitlerian comparisons when it involves a Democrat is wrong. But we Democrats, when we make a Hitlerian comparison between Trump, who was pro-freedom, pro-individual rights, pro-state rights, anti-authoritarian, to Hitler, well, that's fine. And in fact, we need to say it 87.5 times over the course of 45 seconds. Because if you don't know that Trump is Hitler, then Hitler will win? I don't know what their argument is, and it breaks my mind. But this follows my theory that liberal fascism is upon us, and I don't want to just say, fascism. No, liberal fascism. The lucrative merger between corporation and the liberal state. Liberal fascism. And they've done it, and it's taken such a long time, 60 years or so, probably starting in the 60s. You change the meaning of words. You change the meaning of what it is to be pro-American. You change what it is to be a fascist. You change what it is to be an authoritarian. It's no longer authoritarian for top-down rule. You say, when Joe Biden says, you will wear the mask, until you get vaccinated. No ifs, ands, or buts. Just kind of paraphrasing. That's not authoritarianism. That is freedom. That is American. But when Donald Trump says, well, if you've already gotten sick, you probably have natural immunity and you don't really need to wear a mask if you're immune. Just live your lives. We need to open up the economy because people are starving. People can't afford their rent. People need to live their lives. Notice the difference. One's coming from a place of people need to be people. People need to live their lives. People need to live the American dream. It is not the government's job to restrict your freedoms. And then you have the Democrats come in and say, we will restrict your freedoms unless you do what we tell you to do. Sounds like the definition of authoritarianism has been changed. Thanks, college. So, what do you guys think? Am I just losing my mind here? Am I just talking about nothing? Am I wrong? I could definitely be wrong. And if someone could help me change my mind if I am wrong, then please learn me. So that's going to be it for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Have a good one. Bye.